Stop devouring news. What is the first thing that most people around the world do when they wake up and finish their morning activities? Simple. They grab the newspaper or switch on the news, which is usually politics. Nobody switches on channels like National Geographic or History Channel first thing in the morning. Now, why do we do this? We do this because we think that we have to be well informed about what is going on in the world every day and every hour. So, we spend hours consuming every bit of news that is bombarded to us in the hope of being well informed. Hence, we diligently watch news about crimes, politics, robberies, violence, accidents, disasters, etc., happening around the world. But is that time well spent? Have you ever taken some time to ponder the impact of the avalanche of negative information on your mind, body, and soul? Rarely do we stop to ask ourselves questions about what we consume. Is it important? Does this news matter to our country, locality, neighborhood, etc.? Now you may argue that watching and reading the news is absolutely essential. Yes, I agree. We all grew up believing that following the news makes you a better citizen. There was a time when we used to wait for a full day to get a newspaper to know what is happening around the world. Secondly, the journalists and editors who released newspapers ensured that only useful and relevant news was printed in them. So, we would get a healthy dose of news around the world. But not anymore. Today, we are electronically bombarded with news after news from multiple TV channels, internet, social media, news apps on smartphones, and so on. The velocity and ferocity of news have dramatically increased. Nowadays, anything and everything is news because the channels operate 24/7 and they have to show or invent something in the garb of news. News producers hijack your brains by constantly flashing words like breaking news, stand by for an important announcement, don't miss this, and so on. Their news selections are designed to show what's scary, infuriating, or exposing their political biases. In addition, we also have tons of WhatsApp news messages and videos being forwarded from friends. Unable to recognize this trend, you are also conditioning your mind and body to believe that you must consume each and every piece of news that is being blasted out from multiple sources within minutes. You are unconsciously surrounded by so much information that you feel overwhelmed by the pressure of trying to keep up with it all the time. Your mind and body will be literally taking on the stress of the world. But most of such news is pointless. It's not important to your life. It's not going to help you make better decisions. As you consume more and more of such news, you will have less and less time for what really matters. This is why you must start applying brakes on consuming so much news. Just like overeating, being bombarded by endless news is also bad for your health. It leads to fear and aggression and hinders your creativity and ability to think deeply. Non-stop news inhibits thinking. Thinking requires concentration, and concentration requires uninterrupted time. News cannot help you concentrate because they are like bubbles popping on and off, distracting you. Now let us look at what happens when you stop devouring news. First, you will feel much better. Once you quit gulping news by the buckets, you will notice an improvement in your mood as less noise is entering your brain. A few weeks after you quit news addiction, it will be difficult for you to name anything useful that's been lost. You never actually accomplish anything by watching the news endlessly. Basically, watching random news accomplishes nothing in terms of improvement to your quality of life or knowledge. The only thing it's really doing is altering your mood and your behavior. Just imagine if you spent that time learning a new language, reading books, or learning something useful in that time. So, starting today, cut down on consuming endless and aimless news. Switch off news notifications on your smartphone. Switch on the TV only a few times to see what is happening and don't keep it running endlessly. Learn to separate useful and useless news. For example, if there are some new taxes that are going to impact you personally, then read its details. But if the news is about a cat stuck on a tree or a 50-car pile-up on some highway somewhere, just ignore it. If the news is big enough, it will anyway reach you from other sources. Finally, we can end this video with a quote by Winifred Gallagher. Few things are as important to your quality of life as your choices about how to spend the precious resource of your free time.